the aim and the focus and the desire is still strong to find those types of deposits. So that's what we're trying to do. And 20 or 30% of a $2 billion resource is not a bad outcome for shareholders.
Well, hello, welcome to Assay TV. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Graeme Drew, who is the Managing Director and co-founder of AusQuest Limited, which is an ASX-listed exploration company focused on projects in Peru and Australia. Graeme, great to see you today. If we could just start things off with you've just put out a press release. You've got several projects in both Peru and Australia that you are looking to do some exploration work on over the next 6 to 9 months. Looks like you've got a busy schedule ahead of you. First of all, tell us a little bit about the company. What's the background to the company, to AusQuest?
Well, look, thanks, Leo. It's nice to be with you, and maybe this will be the first of many. Who knows? We'll see how it all pans out. But look, we formed way back in 2003, really, with a lot of like-minded people with a really strong desire and a clear focus on looking for major deposits. This tended to mean you'd be out in new areas, provincial plays, picking up large tracts of ground, having a real crack at finding the big one, which you know, as part of our business model, we would expect one of the majors to be interested in. And of course, for a major to be interested in, it's going to have a high value, sort of several $1 billion worth. And our game has always been to retain a 20 or 30% interest in that. And we think that's a pretty exciting outcome for shareholders if we can succeed. And of course, that's major companies can spend 100 million plus every year sort of looking for these things. So it is a high risk business we're in, but the rewards, we think the rewards are there. So right now, as we put out yesterday, we're looking at a pretty active time for drilling. It slowed down for us a little bit late last year with COVID. Mm-hmm. And what that's done is backed up a number of the programs such that this 12 months really is going to be a fairly active time for drilling. Mm-hmm. We're focused in 2 jurisdictions, as you said, one in Australia and one in Peru, and both highly prospective. Peru, maybe people don't know too much about. It's the second largest copper producer in the world, so it's a major part of their GDP, comes from copper, and you know, there's a lot of elephants. There's a lot more in Chile to the south, but Peru to the north has its fair share, and down in the southern part of Peru where we're looking, there's several major deposits from Cerro Verde, Tocopala, Cajones, all multi-billion ton. Mm-hmm. They tend to be low copper grades, but the big guys are mining them. They tend to be open cut. So we've settled into that part of the world to look for something that could be of interest to us, and maybe, I mean, we have a strategic alliance with South 32. They're a major, but they're sort of in the $20 billion range rather than the $100 billion. So it's a bit of a niche market for us. So yeah, we're getting out and doing a lot of drilling, starting as we have in Peru at our Cerro de Ferro project, moving on to Parkour probably before the middle of the year, around about that time. Mm-hmm. And then hopefully a third one in Peru in the second half of the year. So I can give you some more details if you like, otherwise I'm talking.
Yeah, I mean, if we start with Cerro de Ferro, you've got the drill bits that are actually turning there at the moment, yeah? How many rigs have you got on site, and what are your plans? How many meters are you planning to drill?
Well, we have, there's only one rig on site. The drilling we're doing, we're planning to drill something like 4,000 meters, maybe 4,000 to 5,000, depending on how deep we drill the holes and et cetera, what we see, but it's in that ballpark. We're using one of the local contractors who's doing a good job so far. So we expect to see that finish over the next few weeks and results coming in probably around the end of March or something like that. So we'll get a better sense of it at that stage. This is the third program we've drilled in at Cerro de Ferro. the first two programs were chasing some geophysical targets that we had from a detailed aeromag survey that we flew back in 2011. So it's taken a bit of time, but and the drilling there gave us enough encouragement to want to continue and to find out where we might find shallow copper. We found some deep copper. We were getting grades maybe 0.6 copper equivalent, so 0.4 copper, 0.2 gold over tens of meters, and a little bit deep, probably maybe 150 to 250 meter depth, which is a bit too deep for what we want to look for. So we're in the process of trying to find out where it might be shallow. And we've done a lot of field work. This is an area that had never been drilled. There's no historic drilling here at all. It's almost a virgin discovery. I hope I can use the word discovery in a few months' time or whenever. Some of these things, as you say, take their time, and you need perseverance and patience, and not every drill hole gives you what you want. So it is a you need some deep pockets in this game, and that's pretty hard for a junior. We're really not in a junior space in Peru, hence the reason we get a major behind us, because you need this consistent funding. But we've got, I guess our model there is something like a Candelaria, which is in Chile. It's about 1 billion tons of 0.7 copper or some such number. Depends how you do it. You always end up with different, what you read, you get different numbers, but a nice deposit. And we're in similar looking rocks in a similar structural setting. So we think that's sort of what we're trying to find. But in this game, you drill a hole and you often find something that you don't expect, or something different to what you do expect. So we've got a very experienced team with us, and we've got a lot of expertise in various disciplines, be it geology, geochemistry, or geophysics, and we use that expertise and experience to try to minimise doing the wrong thing. So it is it's a long game, but we're pretty excited about at least being able to get started again after COVID, which slowed things down a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, in the Parkour project as well, at the moment you're doing some sort of permitting and getting your access for drilling sorted out. And then when do you hope to have drill bits turning on that one?
Well, at Parkour, we hope to be drilling there, let's say before mid-year. So what are we now in February? So March, April, probably May, June, somewhere in that timetable. As you say, we have got our permits now. That's all been done. Government permitting in Peru can take some time, and it's a little bit frustrating occasionally, but we've now got the permits. We've got rigs lined up, or a rig lined up. In what we do, our initial drilling tends to be very wide space. So we're not drilling holes 100 metres apart. We're drilling holes half a kilometre apart, and sometimes more, trying to get an understanding of what's going on and trying to get proof of concept, if you like, for our targets. And once that occurs, and we've got the encouragement, then I'm sure the money will start to flow from our partners, who then want to get on with the job. They don't want to throw money at it until they're convinced that there is something there. So it is a bit of a step at a time type process. But we hope to be drilling there by the mid-year. That's anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 metre program. It may increase in metres. For the first time at Serra de Fierro, we've been using reverse circulation drilling, which is cheaper than diamond drilling and not so often used in Peru. Most of the rigs there are diamond rigs. So we're using an RC rig, and it's working really well. We're getting the depths we're happy with, getting production we're happy with. So we might start moving towards RC drilling. What that does, it provides drill chips rather than drill core, so it's less geological information, but you get geochemical information more quickly. We're sort of tending to move to that at the moment. So look, Parkour is 50 k's up the road from Serra de Fierro, so similar setting, similar geology. It's 6 k's along strike from a deposit that Camino Minerals are working on, and they've had a number of intersections that they've published, and that's along the same structure that we're looking at. So we're quietly confident we're going to get copper. It's a matter of, can we see enough copper to be of interest to a major player, or is it just another copper occurrence with a few million tonnes of a couple of percent, or 30 million tonnes of 0.5%, which will probably end up still sitting there. So our hurdles are fairly high, which is a bit hard at times, but look, the aim and the focus and the desire is still strong to find those types of deposits. So that's what we're trying to do. And 20 or 30% of a $2 billion resource is not a bad outcome for shareholders.
I mean, it's obviously very early stages, but you're certainly after the right material. I mean, copper being sort of, you know, super hot right now, and you know, with all the sort of decarbonisation and renewables sort of on the horizon, a lot of copper required.
Yeah, no, look, the copper price at the moment is whatever, $4.20, $4.30 or something like that a pound, which is a really nice price. And you're right, a lot of people are looking to the multitude of funds out there that governments are pouring in, the electrification of cars and whatever else. BHP put the ad on the TV, every wind turbine has 4 tonnes of copper in it. So copper is a bellwether commodity for growth, if you like. And the things we're looking for tend to have may have a little bit of gold with them. So you're sort of covering your bets a little bit, because
absolutely,
if growth doesn't come up and the economies aren't so crash hot, then gold sort of goes. So
a bit of gold,
a bit of a foot in each camp. But the main focus for us, certainly under the current alliance with South32, is on base metals. So that's a really strong focus.
You also have a couple of projects in Australia. The Hamilton project up in northwest Queensland, an IOCG iron oxide copper gold project. You're looking there. When are you hoping to get in there and do some drilling?
Well, the Hamilton prospect is that's an interesting one. We've completed 2 phases of drilling already. At Hamilton. Hamilton's roughly 120 k's or something like that south of the Cannington mine. Cannington is a silver lead zinc mine, mainly silver, that South32 operate, and it's been a real cash earner for previously BHP and now South32. So it's one of the premier deposits in the region. We're 120 k's south of that. So there is a chance that we may find something like a Cannington, if you like. Our focus has been on copper in an iron oxide setting, which is a bit different geology, I guess, in some ways. But the whole area is covered by 200 metres of sedimentary cover. So we Cretaceous cover, which is just an age date. But if you look at it, and the odd photo I've had on the front of some of the presentation shows flat nothing, and the drill rig sitting in the middle of it. So you can't do the normal exploration activities. You can't go out and crack a few rocks or do a bit of soil sampling and get some chemistry. You got to literally start with drilling. So we've done 2 phases of drilling, holes maybe half a kilometre apart, going down through that cover, hitting the bedrock where the mineralisation is meant to be, looking at the chemistry and trying to find vectors to where to go and look. And the best thing to look at is this alteration footprint, because alteration is much larger than the ore itself. So when you're drilling wide space and you're trying to at least hit that alteration and start saying, hey, I need to drill in that spot. Now, we've done that work. We've got an alteration footprint that we think is similar to somewhere like Ernest Henry, which is a 170 million tonne, 1% copper. Similar, but never the same. No 2 things are ever the same. So you're always playing this similar game. And we have a number of detail or magnetic targets within that footprint, if you like, that we are looking to test this time around. So we've done we've done the native title clearance work. That was done at the end of last year. At the moment, we've signed up the drilling company. It's still only one rig, and we've got a group to set us up in terms of operational, running the operations. We'd hope to man it from here as well, but with COVID still and borders and various things, it's still a bit of a toss up whether you go there and then suddenly something happens, they close borders and you can't get back and all that sort of stuff. So we've got locals over there that can do it for us. So either way, we're covered. So hopefully we'll be doing that in April, May, and that depends a fair bit on the weather. The wet season comes through, where we're working. If there's been 10 mils of rain, we're not going to go there. It's just going to sink. So you need it to be dry. So it depends on the wet. And what I've heard to date is they haven't had much of a wet where we're looking to drill. So I think it's a good chance. Back end of April, May, we should be out there drilling at Hamilton, and that's something like four deep holes, 2,000 metre holes into targets associated with this footprint, if you like, and hopefully that leads to a lot more.
Absolutely. And finally, Balladonia, down in the Fraser Range, WA, close, sort of down further south than the Nova Bollinger discovery, I believe.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about what you're looking for there.
Well, Balladonia has been one of our longer projects. In terms of persistence, we've been very persistent, and some people may say too persistent. So that's an interesting project, but it's the area down in the Fraser Range, and we're part of that province. We're sort of off to the side of the main area where what the general industry would call Fraser Range. But it's a tough area to work, not only from access point of view, but from cover. You don't see much. So we've been in there quite some time. Last year we drilled some geochemistry that we got from shallow drilling, and we drilled under that to see what was causing it. And we hit a carbonatite, which is, in terms of geology and rock types, it was pretty unusual. We didn't expect to hit this carbonatite. Carbonatites are usually known for rare earths around the world. Palabora is one of the bigger carbonatites. So it's an interesting rock to hit. And when we looked at that data, there was nothing much in the carbonatite itself, but we started making comparisons with other regions. And when we looked at the Eastern Succession region in northwest Queensland, east of Mount Isa, which is where a lot of the copper and Cannington sits in that sequence, for example, we saw a lot of similarities. So we went back to our data. This is like an iterative process, exploration. You get some information, you go back to your data, and then there was a number of targets that we saw that were similar to targets we'd be testing in the Eastern Succession in Queensland. And we thought, we hadn't looked at them, let's test them. So we proposed some shallow drilling. It's air core drilling, so as soon as the ground gets hard, it's going to stop, but it should give us bedrock chemistry, a number of these features. If we get some metals associated with them, then we'd be into the next phase, which would be deeper drilling and targeting. So we remain optimists. You've got to be an optimist in this business, otherwise you wouldn't be in it. But there's some really interesting targets there that we're hoping to get to again around that May time. At the moment, there's a lot of work going on in WA. So access to drill rigs and other things isn't straightforward. There's a lot of work. We hope to be doing native title clearance there at the end of March. We're negotiating that or organising that at the moment. And once that's done, then we can put access in and bring in a rig. So we're looking at the April-May period to be able to do that. And any of these programs could lead to more, depending what we get. And when we're doing RC or diamond drilling, any of those programs, what the scale of things we're looking for, potentially are game changers for our company as well. So interesting times ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, as a sort of prospect generator, which I guess is the way you describe yourselves, you need to have a few irons in the fire, but obviously nothing certain until you have those drill rigs turning and you have that core sort of coming to surface. But it's been a fascinating look at the company there. Great to get an intro on the company and to hear about what you're up to. And lots to look out for in the year ahead. So we look forward to hearing more about it. And hopefully you can come back and tell us about some of the things you found later in the year.
Look, that sounds good, Leo. Just one thing before I go that I haven't really touched on is the strategic alliance with South 32. So all these drilling programs are basically funded by money from South 32. It's not given to us gratis, go away and spend all this dough. It's on a program and budget basis. So we put up our ideas and what we think we should do. And if they agree with it, then they fund it. So all that work's been funded by under the strategic alliance, which is really working well. It's not just a money grab for us. They provide technical input as well. And I think we've got a pretty strong working relationship with them. It has its drawbacks because we are focused on what would be interesting to them. And you may miss some small things that may interest the market, but that's the strategy we opted for at this point in time, and the one we'll keep focused on.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's great for you guys to have a good big backer like that, able to say, actually, yeah, now have another swing of the bat, so to speak.
Yep. Well, they know the business. Some of the signs that we get that we're getting close are not easy to explain or convey to normal shareholders. But if you're in the business, then you can recognise what we're doing. So I won't. There's no easy sell there. Believe me, it takes a lot of our time and whatever, and rightly so. We don't complain about that. You're trying to justify what you do, but they recognise some of the subtleties in our business that maybe the normal shareholder doesn't. So we're really happy to have them, and we're this is our 5th year, so we've been running 4 years on this alliance. So it's that in itself says that it's working for both parties. We know we've got to produce, otherwise at their end it'll be like, oh, we've done all this work and spent this money, so where are the goods? So the pressure's building, no question, but that's the nature of the business.
Hopefully closing in on some interesting targets. Well, thank you very much, Graeme, for joining us today. And as I said, I look forward to hearing all about it, and hopefully we can speak later in the year to hear about what you found.
Pleasure. Thanks, Leo.
Fantastic.